Well, good afternoon, everybody. As you can see, the four of us are here as per usual. So all I'd like you to do is if you can just let us know if you can hear and see and everything sounds okay, looks okay, and then we'll go through and do a couple of little welcomes. And we're going to crack on with today's topic, which, as you've probably seen by the title, is the world outside of WordPress. Oh, oh, is it?
Ooh. Ooh.
Okay.
I'm ready for it already. I can already hear it now.
Why is it when you mute YouTube in a different window and then you actually start doing a live stream, it goes, I'm not going to be muted anymore. I'm going to go full bore. Anyway, guys, how are you all doing? Mark, how has your day been? How's your week been? Imran, then Jeffrey.
Good.
So, how's things?
Doing good. I'm a little, actually, I don't know if you hear, but there's a big hurricane coming to Florida. That's where I'm originally from, Tampa. So I'm just keeping an eye on that. I have a lot of relatives and family and everything down there. So, yeah, a little stressed on that one. That's a big one.
I can bet, yeah. Imran, what about yourself?
I'm doing really, really good. About to relaunch the Elementor website course in 2 days, so that's been my stress for the last few days. But funnily enough, I'm in a happy, good place. Like, you know, I just feel good today, so I may be a little bit hysterical when we start talking, so I'm going to give my excuses now.
It's pretty standard, I think, isn't it? I thought hysterical was the order of the day most days. Anyway.
I've actually had 2 glasses of Baileys this morning already.
Oh, jeez.
So that's my reason. So I've just been over-relaxing a bit.
The concerning part there was this morning.
oh, mate, I could have it any time of the day.
Jeez, really? Jeffrey, how are you doing anyway? Let's get to some sensibility.
No Bailey's, just got my mushroom tea as usual. My late night mushroom tea. Nothing funny in it though, but man, all good. Also completing my Elementor course, but Imran beat me to it.
Oof.
But man, it must feel good being 2 days away. I'm like a little over a third in, and yeah, my eyes are just like, it's insane.
I think when me and Imran have talked about it before, I think once you start doing any kind of course, you don't realize how much work you're letting yourself in for. You think, that'll take me a month. And then you're 8 weeks into it, and you're like, jeez. And like I think, Imran, you said on a live the other day, it's like, or when we were talking the other day, it's like you do something, you get 80% of the way through it, and you go, man, I could have done that in a different way.
It's one of those things where you just want to get it done, because you feel like it stops you doing other stuff, because you feel guilty if you do that and you don't do it's just it's a guilt trip. So I'm glad it's done, and yeah, it's done and done. Get it out there.
But if anybody wants to know, how can they find out more about that course before? Sorry, Mark, I tried to cut you off there.
I was going to say, I think I'm the only one who I haven't done that. I've never tortured myself that way yet. I haven't done a course yet. I did do almost an hour-long video.
Well,
that's why you look so calm.
Webinar. No. I have got a live chat or a webinar on Thursday, so go to my Web Squadron channel, you'll see it. It's where there'll be exclusive deal on coupon. It'll be so much cheaper than Jeffrey's course that's not even out yet. I don't even know what he's pricing, but it's so much cheaper.
but I've seen Jeffrey's courses, and they're at least 35 hours long, and that's just the intro.
Oh, what? Yeah, whoa.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
No,
the way I look at it is, it's like you you learn different aspects. So I take courses myself. I buy them. And, I don't look at it as competition. I look at it as just learning more.
Exactly.
That's what it's
about.
Yeah. Yeah. But this is why I'm doing a bricks course, see, because I don't have to worry about you two.
I finally had my first comment. I finally had my first comment. Somebody wanted me to make a bricks video. I haven't even entertained that thought yet, but maybe I will. Who knows?
No, you won't.
No, probably not.
or we'll send the bailiffs around. It'll be a trademark infringement or something along those lines.
Oh, there you go.
Anyway, we're not going to go down that route. So today's topic is we've all been talking sort of off camera, as it were. We talked for quite some time about various different things. But one of the things I know Jeffrey and myself have been talking about is looking outside of WordPress, and you get backlash on this. I did a video about the other week, and someone saying like, "Oh, you should start a new channel." It's like, well, that makes no sense whatsoever to start a new channel. No one's saying we're suddenly going to go. It's not going to be WP Tuts or Lightbox. It's going to be Webflow Box or Webflow Tuts or something. You know what I mean? That you've got to look outside. We've all talked about it, and I think, Jeffrey, I think we've talked about this. Is most of the exciting things that are going on in web design at the moment are not inside WordPress. They're outside it. You look at some of the tools that are out there and the things that they're doing, and to me, it's like really are much more interesting and exciting compared to what we're seeing, inside WordPress. You look at Gutenberg and things like that. It's all pretty static and boring. I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm a web designer and I love web design. I love the different creative aspects of it. I've been, really fascinated with animation designs and motion designs. There's just so much that could be done, and there's a lot going on that really does. I wish I had a lot more time where I could just jump in and start exploring things. Like Framer, and there's a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah. There is. I mean, you look at, like Framer, Web Studio, those kinds of things. There's a lot of interesting things going on out there. I know you'll have some purists who will come back and say, it doesn't create as clean code as Bricks, for example. And there's probably merit to what's being said there in a lot of cases. But as I think anybody knows, most clients don't give a damn. As long as the site loads fast, does what it needs to do, converts, whatever it is, sells products, converts to interested parties or whatever. That's what people want. That's where the return on their investment comes from. So I do advocate for clean code where possible, but is it really the be-all and end-all for most clients? Do they say, how clean is the code when you do a sort of like an initial meeting with them? Probably not.
It's about what the client wants. Now, I was going to say, I started off as a Shopify developer before I even touched WordPress. And then I got into WooCommerce. And after doing both for a long period of time, Shopify just works best for most e-commerce businesses. They just want to focus on the commerce side. They just want to be able to have their staff come in and deal with fulfillment. And they don't want to worry about all the updates and all the stuff that comes with WooCommerce. So, I think it's important to see what else is out there to fit the client's needs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the client should be the first in the chain of everything. I think because we're in the WordPress world, we do tend to sort of think everything is WordPress orientated. It's like, how do we use WordPress to build this or whatever? And my experience with WooCommerce has always been horrible. I just don't like it. I think it's an awful platform to work with. It's just not fun. It's very limited in what you can do. Not that I've looked at Shopify, but I used to use dedicated shopping platforms. That was their job. That's what they did. Not trying to build it into another platform. So, I do think we've got a duty of care, shall we say, to look what alternatives are out there to find out what would fit the client's requirements the best and what makes it the easiest for them. One of the biggest pains I think we all feel, especially when working with clients on our own sites, is just how much maintenance we have to undertake every single day. Like with the whole debacle about ACF, I spent 22 hours yesterday morning, or the day before, going through and making sure all my sites were updated because they had to be done manually. And it's just a pain. And you don't have that with, I know they're closed platforms and people complain about being closed, you don't own your own data, but is that really such a big issue for most people? Do they really care that much about that side of things? What do you think?
No.
Nothing.
No one
thinks anything.
Someone don't jump in. Going to the data site, sorry, go ahead. You want to jump in? We got that lag, so it always makes it a little tricky. When do we jump in? But really quick, I do have a question because I see that as part of the resistance about the data and the open source. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, what data don't we have? If I do build a website somewhere else, what data am I losing? Content, images, form submissions? What is it? I'm not sure. I wanted to ask you guys because I want to get more perspective on that.
Imran, what are your thoughts?
I've never delved that deep into the whole open source and the back-end coding kind of thing, mainly because for me the whole coding aspect was, decade ago almost. So the joy of page building and so many plugins was that you didn't have to worry about that aspect too much unless you wanted to get dirty with the code. So I've never really gone that deep into it to explore. But I wanted to go back to a point that Paul made and Jeffrey touched on about how much do clients worry about, the back-end code or the bloat of WordPress and all the things that we have to do in the back end. And to be honest, they don't. To the point where when you are doing a proposal and you start to talk to a client about optimization, you can see their face go, what? What are you talking about? Minimizing JavaScript and all this. They don't care. So often, you're having to sell it to them to really get them to understand. And even when you say Google Core Web Vitals, they're like, meh. And unless you can prove it actually does affect their search rankings, they don't really care kind of thing. And in terms of WordPress, every day on Facebook, you see adverts for Framer and all these other fancy tools. And if I wasn't doing content creation, and I'm not using it as an excuse because I know lots of people out there have lots of busy lives, but if I wasn't doing content creation, I probably would have a lot more time to explore a lot of these other solutions. And I feel at the moment I am restricted to WordPress, and I will look at solutions in that area. Shopify, yeah, but I hear a lot of good stuff about Wix Studio. I've heard it from other people, but I just haven't got the time or the energy to jump in and have a look at it. So no, I didn't answer Jeffrey's question.
Okay, well, Mark, what are your thoughts about the whole, defining sort of data ownership? Do you have any thoughts about what that even means? For me, it probably means one thing, and maybe for everybody else here, maybe people in the chat, it means something different. What's your take on the whole data ownership sales pitch when it comes to open source software?
I know. That's a big one, yeah. Well, yeah, I guess the hardest thing is where is all of that data being stored? Is it in your database? So if you're, yeah. So it's then you have to worry about, okay, your data's in your database, but then that's on a hosting platform. How secure is that? So I don't know. It's here in the States is different than where you guys are. The GDPR stuff is completely different here and there. So yeah, it's a totally different topic depending on where you live for sure.
I think the other thing to consider as well is that when it comes to, data ownership and stuff like that, as I've already been said in the comments, and I think, Jeffrey, you might have touched on it, I've never actually found a platform that doesn't allow me to export my user data, for example, like an email marketing platform, like MailChimp or MailerLite. If you want to move from one to another, there's data in there that's irrelevant. But you can still get the main data that you need, which is the contact details, the names, the subscription status and things like that. Same thing goes with e-commerce. Same thing goes for example, if you use things like Lemon Squeezy, which is one of the platforms that I use. I can export all my user data from there, all my order data. Same thing goes with Stripe. Same thing goes with PayPal. You can export that data. So I'm not really sure what data people are referring to when they say that there's this kind of golden egg situation when it comes to open source software. I don't know. But maybe that's a topic for a different day. Yeah. So, Jeffrey, being someone that is exploring these other areas, out of all the platforms you've tested at the moment, which one actually gets you the most excited about what it's actually doing? What's the one you think, out of all these ones, this is the one I want to dedicate some of my time to right now?
Well, I haven't really tested as much as I would like. I've done my research and I'm following other people and learning more about it. And I have to say Framer right now. That's the one. And that's because I live in Figma. I use Figma more than I'm using WordPress most of the time. I'm in there on a daily basis. And, I remember when Framer first came out, I was playing around with it. It was like a Figma sort of tool. But now, I'm looking at, they have their own animation that's their own form of GSAP, and I'm seeing all this crazy stuff you could do with it. Now, I know it's not all accessible and all that stuff, but I like cool. Okay, I was gonna curse. I'm gonna curse. I like cool shit, dude. That's what I like. I want some really dope shit, And I like to geek out and have fun and see what I could do. This weekend, I was playing around with Unicorn Studio, and it's just a beta that just came out. I'm like, dude, these no-code tools that are coming out, like Spline. Mark, you've been using Spline, right? Like, how has that been for you?
It's been good, yeah. It's definitely a hard sell to sell to clients sometimes. Like they don't quite understand like how much work can go into creating this stuff. But yeah, I mean, I have a huge 3D background, so I love that finally 3D can be on the web now, like a lot more accessible. Like it wasn't like that just a few years ago before Spline existed. But yeah, it's a solid platform. I love it. I wouldn't. The way I would sell it to a client would be, don't have it right when you load up a web page, have all this 3D stuff going on. Make it where they have to enable, like, click a box and then something could pop up in a new window. Then you can explain something more in a technical way, through an animation. So, yeah, I think it's a great platform. I love how it integrates now with, it's got like API stuff. So you could do really complicated stuff. I have a few videos on my channel on how to do that. Yeah, it's something that I play around with still. I definitely do like it compared to like any other platforms out there. It's because I used to try to hand code this stuff through like JavaScript, and that is a nightmare. Do not do that. Like when this came out, I was like, this is a lifesaver for sure.
Maybe this is something we should do one day, is actually the four of us have a little bit of a challenge where each one of us has our own dedicated skill set and tools that we kind of like. And maybe we should do something like, for example, Jeffrey can do the design, one of us can do the build, we can do some 3D animation, the Mark can do that side of things. That could be a fun challenge. We sort of say, right, and then maybe Imran and myself, I'll build it with bricks and you'll build it with Elementor, and then we'll create a course on it and we'll outsell everything that Jeffrey does. But
I like the sound of that. That last bit sold me. That last bit got me, yeah.
Yeah. But it might be an interesting thing because I think, I don't know if you guys are the same as me. When you're looking to learn something, you can dabble and you can play around and you can just tweak and get ideas of how things work. But when you actually have a project and a goal set in mind, and you have to work through those little barriers that you come across from your lack of knowledge and understanding of how that platform works and whatever. I've done it recently with bricks and stuff like that, trying to push it into different directions. And I think that's the way that's the most fun way to learn, is where you've got some kind of challenge to overcome, to learn how that software works in that way.
Yeah. Like when I learned that you could change your 3D models because of code, like that blew my mind because I've been waiting like forever for that to come out. So it finally did. Yeah. So I did want to mention one thing the one thing that always turns me off from these SaaS programs, like the framers and all of that, is I cannot stand when there's a bandwidth limit or like a website visitor monthly limit. With this plan you can only have 100,000 monthly visits. I just see that as like a money grab because like running a server, so on my server, if I go over my bandwidth, which is like 6 terabytes, they charge you, no joke, $20 a month to get an extra terabyte of data. So bandwidth is cheap as hell. So when I see a software company having these hard limits, it turns me off. Like I would love to explore these, but as soon as I see that, like I want to do Webflow, but I don't want to touch it because of that crap, because there's horror stories about if like a bunch of bots will attack your server, you're going to automatically, like on Webflow, I know that they want to upgrade you to like the enterprise level if you hit a certain bandwidth. So people are, no joke, getting hit with like $15,000 bills because that's like the next level, but it's all a scam, and it drives me crazy because these are like good platforms, but
yeah,
I don't know. I just wanted to get that out there. I get frustrated with that.
I heard those stories, and I wonder if those. I would want to see if Webflow covered it, because obviously, if we see a bunch of bots are the cause of it, then that should be on them. Since they're the ones managing the server, they're the ones managing the security. If they are sticking it to people when they're supposed to be managing, then that's a big issue.
A whole other
there.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, but I think you brought up a good point. Something I was thinking about is the pricing. Now, I did not touch Webflow when it came out because I don't want to pay the monthly price. I'm cheap like that. I don't want to pay $60, $80, $100 a month. I'm just, to me, I'm like cheap. But then like I started thinking, is this a reason why a lot of people in WordPress don't want to explore outside, because you could get started for free? in WordPress. But then when you start to add up everything, look how much you spend on hosting, on plugins, on LTDs. You know, I got $1,000 stack for bricks, you know, like these things do start to add up.
Yeah. No, go on.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to say, I think it comes down to the fact that we have the freedom to add on what we want to add on. It's literally like, as kids, you know, I think we all did, but I know I did. We like playing with Lego. You have a block and we can build what we want and do what we want. And I feel like with WordPress, we have that flexibility to take it where we want to take it with limitations, of course. And the reason why I've not gone back to looking at Wix and all these other platforms too much is because I feel like I'd be in a closed structure kind of thing. And I feel like if I wanted to do something extra for my client or just be different, I don't feel like I'd have that. And what irritates me is I don't want to be using something where someone else could probably build exactly the same. I like to think that what I build is unique and bespoke for me or the client. And I feel like with WordPress, you get that joy to do that.
Yeah, the open source, so the flexibility you have with something like WordPress is definitely one of its biggest strengths and one of its biggest weaknesses. But as you touched upon, I think there's a misconception that WordPress, self-hosted WordPress, is free, because it's not. You know, like Jeffrey says, like if you want to get into this as a business, you've got $1,000 worth of bricks stack there. You know, you look at like Generate Press and Generate Blocks, for example. You can easily have that there. There's a $500 there. You know, then there's your hosting, then there's your maintenance, then there's your updates, then your security plugins, and all those other things that go with it. It's not free. It isn't free. And it's a misconception where people say that it is free. The cost can very quickly probably spiral out. And I think you've got a very good point there, Jeffrey, with Mark, with the way these hard limits are set in place. I think the reason they've probably done is not for the people like us that have an understanding of what that tangibly means. It's for your everyday Joe that's going, I want a website. I've heard I can use WordPress and I need to have some hosting and a domain, whatever that is. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to have 1,000 visits or 10,000 or 100,000 visits. Ah, right, I see what that means now. Whereas when they do it in the way that we would probably understand it, which is how much bandwidth do you have, how much storage space do you have in gigabytes and terabytes and stuff like that, we understand that, and we have a kind of a logical brain that goes, that means like that much. But for your average Joe, which is probably why you're seeing it so much becoming so prevalent compared to what it was years ago, where it was always gigabytes or terabytes, how much storage, bandwidth, and you don't really see that now. They've just put it all into layman's terms, which is visits. Sadly, but I think that's probably the reason why we don't kind of count.
Somebody just mentioned Web Studio. That's another one that I see sort of gaining a lot of traction right now.
Which one's that, sorry? Web Studio?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seen a lot more content on it, yeah.
It's basically open source Framer. I mean, it was an ex-Framer employee that was frustrated apparently and set up their own version of Framer. So it's one that I've been looking at myself. I use self-host and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's one to check out. I think if it picks up traction, you know, what Framer did was that they got a lot of people on board with their original pricing structure and then jacked it up insanely and obviously lost some people. But as we all know, once you buy into a system and you've got clients on it, it's not that easy to suddenly abandon that to move to something else. You know, the clients are not going to suck up the cost for redevelopment and retooling it all. And as business people, we can't afford to do that on, 10 sites, let alone 100 or 1,000 sites. So, and I think this is the same, when people say like, just leave Elementor or just leave Divi or leave whatever. When you run a business, you can't. You can't just do that. Then you end up licenses for all those software, maintaining the sites, keeping up to date, security updates, just keeping in the general loop of it all. I think that these
and
are all
the skills that are built in it. I think it's cool to look outside, but don't just run and jump into something else because, we spend years acquiring a skill. And my philosophy has always been to master one thing at a time, get really good at it, and then expand and then learn something else. Like when I started using bricks, a lot of people asked, or phrased it, hey, you switched from Elementor, you left. And I always have to correct it. It's like, no, I just added on bricks. I'm adding on skills. Yeah. And that's all we're doing. We're building on this. And we got to be very strategical when doing this as well, when we are building websites as a business.
What you learn, though, when you're building websites or you've been doing it for a while, is that at some point in our careers, a new plugin or a new toy came along, we jump on and start using it, and then later on you realise it wasn't that good, or they stopped developing it, or it's no longer updated for like a year or so, and then you end up having to use something else. And now, even though like, you know, you hear about a new plugin or a new tool, I'm always a little bit like, I judge it a little bit on what does it do, is it actually beneficial, and is it going to be there for the long game sometimes. And that's why no matter how much we can say that WordPress hasn't evolved immensely and it's still a bit stagnant in places or whatever, it's there. 20 years, right? It's still there. And you know, like it or hate it with Elementor or Bricks or any other solution that's coming around, you know there's teams behind it, you know there's investment behind it to keep it going. So it's a bit like you want to jump from Elementor, go and do that, and you could jump into something else, but then you may regret it or come back the other way. Yeah.
There's definitely a time to let these things mature. And like I said, I think this is the same in all aspects of business and life, is that you learn from every mistake, every thing that was good. You know, like I say, you'll get it. You'll find a development team, for example, or a brand or a company. And it's like they put a product out, you've used it, it's been solid, the support's been good, and all those kinds of things. So when they bring another product out, you feel a little bit more inclined to want to kind of jump on board with that and test it out. Whereas the opposite, I think this is one of those things that if you've ever bought stuff on AppSumo, especially the last 2 years, there's been so many of those lifetime deals that have just like, the developers are going, oh, we can't support this, you know, it's too expensive, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, Imran.
No, sorry. It's just Max Zebel, he's just made a comment. And that's kind of where I was. I wasn't hot on the JavaScripting side. That was always my stumbling block. We're going back 15, 20 years now. But now and again, it does cross my mind, and I sort of go, how far could I take HTML, JavaScript, and CSS? Could I start to get back to building stuff where I don't have to rely on a page builder? But the thing that always scares the crap out of me is trying to replicate some of the plugins and stuff you use. Hey, yeah, I could build stuff and make it look nice, but if you expect me now to start doing back-end stuff, there's only so much I can rely on ChatGPT and whatnot to help write the codes, you know, and maintain things and all. There's only so much you can go. So I would love it. I mean, there's people on here, Phil, and, you know, there's people who used to use Elementor and other stuff, and now they've gone full onto, like, you know, the full site, all of that, building just with code. And I would love it if I could do that. I wish I'd stuck at it on that side of things.
A lot of it comes down, though, to the amount of time it takes you to do it. If you go back to when you were doing, like, let's just say, I don't know how many people you ever use Dreamweaver or those kinds of tools. Oh. Mm-hmm. Yeah? So you'd have, like, rapid application development, RAD kind of plugins that would speed up and take over lots of certain things you could do. So, like, database connections and pulling in data and stuff like that was all cool. But imagine having to go back to doing that now, where you can literally just set up something in like a tool like ACF, and you can be up and running, pulling dynamic data in 10 minutes maximum. Do you know what I mean? And you're outputting that, you're building your templates, you're doing everything you want. The reality is, I think when you start to go down the more things outside static, more database-driven, content-driven, CMS-driven type things, it's just not worth the time unless those companies that you're working with are paying you 50, 60, 100 grand. Then exactly. Fair enough. But the reality is none of us are kind of commanding that kind of money, and we're not working with those kinds of companies. And this is where you kind of look, well, where's the reality? Where's the time versus the financial return? You kind of draw the line. And I think that's what we all do. I think that's what you do in business. You find it.
You don't want to like reinvent the wheel every time. So if I could compare it to when I worked in 3D animation, I used to work at it was at the time the largest engineering firm. So I would do animations. You've probably seen them where there's like a new interstate or apartment or whatever being built. There's all these cars going down the road. So I used to be the guy who would animate that stuff. So a lot of people don't realize this, but like when there's 5,000 cars on the road, I didn't model those cars 5,000 times. I modeled it once, and then I just duplicate that whenever I need to. It's like a script. I would just duplicate those cars over and over. But for some reason, sometimes people think in like the 3D world, everything's like by scratch. I'm like, hell no. I had a whole set of buildings and cars all ready to go. I just put them in there, you know? So it's kind of like that. It's like a framework. Yeah.
Yeah, now, I'm all about efficiency, and you know, if I can build a page and get stuff done, and then go and enjoy my pizza and my Pepsi Max and my Baileys, and then do whatever I want and catch up on Netflix, that's what I want. I don't want to go back to the point where I sit there staring at the screen, going, "I made that red, so why is it blue?" You know, kind of thing. It's trying to work out where it's gone wrong. You know, so the joys of, I mean, heck, it's the whole AI, isn't it? It's the whole evolution of technology around us kind of thing. It's why we love doing what we do kind of thing. You know, it's like, look at that blue light behind Jeffrey, right? You go and get a light, you switch it on, you set the color, boom. In the old days, you'd go and buy a light tube and you'd probably paint it to get the blue ray coming out of it and then stick it on the wall. You know, has no one ever done that? Because that's what I used to do when I was a kid.
No.
And I can change it by my phone too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, it's
you see, that's how efficient it is. He doesn't even have to get up. He just does it on his phone. And
The thing is, you're going to go back to the old days. Can imagine doing that with your phone? It'd be like,
oh, God,
anybody that knows what I'm talking, you know what I'm talking about? Jeez, I'd be a forevermore. Oh, back in old days, 27 hours a day I used to work. So let's move beyond these sort of new page builders and things like that then. I mean, for me, one of the things that I enjoy is actually creating the graphics and the artwork and things like that. So I mean, I think this is part of the fun of the creative side of things. I think once you've been doing this for a while, it's just basically the same thing over and over again. Whatever kind of sites you build your templates, you put your data in, blah, 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 blah. So I think, again, this is probably one of those areas where tools like Figma have kind of become so prevalent these days because it allows you to be that creative individual where you can create your graphics inside the same application that you're actually then building your website designs in and using your templates. And like you say, all those sort of speed improvements and those quality of life things that allow you to duplicate something and try iterations on it and all those kinds of good things. I mean, any kind of... are you kind of the same vein as me? Do you create the graphics that you use, or are you more a case of you get all that stuff from the client, or do you kind of have a hybrid approach with it?
Everything's in Figma. I design logos in Figma. I mean, it's just, you know, the way that you could create graphics, and I do use a lot of kits. I like to get starters because, you know, I like to be efficient. I mean, there's no point in building everything from scratch. Like I use UI 8. I have my subscription there. Get a lot of really good quality kits. I'll get those, and then I'll take some of the graphics and start tweaking them inside Figma, and then there I go. I got my graphics right there. There's so much that could be done in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of good libraries. I was looking at the UI8, and I don't know if it's a live stream you did or something I was watching of yours, Jeffrey, where you were using those, or it might have been one of your videos on YouTube, is where you were using those sort of graphics and using those to put them into like your different hero images and things, and using those as a starting point. Yeah, it was a video. You did 3 different ways of creating your hero image, where you're kind of creating your graphics in Figma with the circles overlapping and gradients and things, which I thought was great. But I think there's fun in that. It's like one of the things I'm trying to do at the moment. It's like instead of just putting a card design when I'm doing like a thumbnail, I want to create the graphic for it. So you know what it is, but it doesn't display text and things in this. It's like doesn't detract. And I'm having loads of fun with that side of things at the moment. And there's just so many ways in which you can do.
Do you guys all do your YouTube thumbnails in Figma?
No, I don't use Figma for things like that. No. I use Affinity.
Canva.
Photoshop.
Canva.
Photoshop.
Wow. Hey, speaking of Photoshop, all right, I got a little rant, all right, because I just got a renewal notice from Adobe. I just got a renewal notice from my Creative Cloud saying my price has gone up to $680 a year, and I went and checked. It was like yes, dude, yes, man, and it was like $300 when I, went last.
Jeffrey, there's only so long you can keep claiming to be a student.
This is
You can't keep getting that discount.
it's teacher and student, all right? Technically, we're teacher, but no, $680. I'm like, do we really need this? Like, is this necessary today with what we have?
I was a massive a Photoshop user years ago, and when they went into the Creative Cloud, I signed up for it, but then I haven't touched it in about nearly 3 years now, and I cancelled everything, so I don't miss it. I feel like it depends on what you're using it for, and I was using it for digital art and stuff, but now I don't do that side of things anymore. So when you're using it for like thumbnails and stuff like that,
here's a little tip. Here's a little tip. I just renewed because we've had it for years. So what you do is every time it's up for your yearly renewal, just threaten to cancel. There's like a cancel button.
Yeah, and they
go all the way to the end because it was going to be like $60 and now it's down to $30 again. So that's as cheap as I can get. Is like $30 a month. Yeah, there you go. Yep, just like you said.
Yeah. I did the same thing as well.
Do you enjoy doing thumbnail art? Because I've got to this point now where once you've done your video and you've gone through the editing and you've done the upload and descriptions, I always feel like, oh God, I've got to do the thumbnail art now. And before, I used to enjoy it because it was lovely, but now it's like, really, you got to do it, but it's like pain.
Well, I feel like there's so much pressure because you listen to some of these people, these like growth channels. Oh, you have to add the shock face and all this crap in it. I'm like, you start to think about it too much, and then I'm like, my best video doesn't have anything. It's just like text on a screen. Yeah, I'm like, I gave up on that shit years ago. I'm like, there you go.
Imran's got at least 300 shocked faces on his phone.
Do you know what? I'm actually. I've been thinking for a while. We're side topic now, but I've been thinking for a while that I can't be arsed with putting my face on anymore now. I might just do words and stuff and just have screenshots. I just feel like, I don't know. I'm never satisfied. Like I noticed, Paul, you've now started going to more like the dark kind of look with the red and all that, and it works really well because you've got a theme. But I always feel like you've found a way to do it, and you're really excited. And then 2 weeks later, you look at it and you go, "No, I'm not liking what I'm doing anymore now," kind of thing. So, never satisfied.
I get the logic behind what they say, which is that your thumbnail and your title should intrigue, but it should also complement each other and tell people as they're flicking up their feed, what does it mean? What if you can visually convey it. But then how the hell do you visually convey something really obscure like a lot of the topics we cover? It's like, how the hell do you do that? It's hard enough to think of a frigging title for it, let alone a bloody picture.
I tell you our problem. Our problem is that because it's technical, because we're trying to answer a problem or tell people about a problem, we have to put some form of some detail on it, something. Whereas other people that aren't doing technical videos, they can just have cover art where it's just their face. There's no words. It's just their face and they're sat in a lounge kind of thing, Mm-hmm. And they will get views or whatever because their videos are mainly just them talking to the screen, whereas we've got to, say to people, how to get a discount on Photoshop. We have to do videos like that.
Yep.
I had one person, I remember one time paying somebody to do it, and it made me look like a Bitcoin guru. I can't use this.
Could be worse.
I've had people email me. I get emails quite a lot from people where they've actually redone the thumbnail art for one of my videos. So they've obviously watched it, taken a shot, and they've done it. But I have to say, it's very similar to what you've just said. It looks like a Bitcoin kind of thing with pound sign. And I'm like, where'd you get I said, there's nothing in the video about pounds, dollar signs. Well, I said dollar signs everywhere or cash notes. What is this?
or they tend to HDR the living shit out of your face. I've noticed that. It's like everything is like this hyper contrast, hyper color kind of thing. Eyes bulging. I mean, where's McDonald? He's had a couple of thumbnails like that. It was like his eyes look like they're bulging out of his head. Like,
I'm still on the hunt for a good editor. I feel like I've got to up my game on that. I've got to fight because I feel like I lose a chunk of my life just editing, and I feel like I've got to find someone who understands WordPress and I don't want to have to spell it out. Go, right, make sure you cut this bit out. But that's the trouble, right? How can you find an editor that actually knows when you've made a mistake, kind of thing? But hey.
If you find one, don't put me in contact with them because I'll pay them double what you're paying.
Mate, if you find a good one, please let me know. If you know a good one.
Just kidding.
So Jonathan.
The thing is, Jeffrey, that's going to cost you at least 3 kidneys because Imran's course might be like 5 hours long. Yours is 45 hours long, and you're going to pay them double. So you're already about 9 times in for Imran's cost anyway. So
is it really that long, Jeffrey? Really
no, not that long. This one's going to have 100+ lessons in it. It's going to be full on, but it's a 2-on-1 course. It is a web design course and an Elementor course. So the first third is a web design, but I do got an awesome editor to help me out with the courses. She's been awesome.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to put you in contact with her. She's amazing.
Yeah, please do. I've got to hire that breakdance video guy. The ones who slate Elementor. I've got to hire them to slate your course when it comes out. I've got to just bombard Facebook adverts and go, you don't want to use this course. You don't want to go there. I've got to use that strategy against you.
It's an Imran PSA.
Wow, dude. So we could have like a battle, bro, and
what?
We'd be like homies behind the scene. But we'll have like a battle outside, dude. Check out the PR that we would get.
Oh, mate. Do you know what? I would love to do a video. I would love to do a video where I've got your YouTube videos playing on a screen and I'm stood there pissing on the monitor. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll have one of you and my dog humping it.
Okay, well, this took a turn for the surreal.
I think we should do it.
Paul,
Imran, do not have Baileys in the morning again. Never have Baileys in the morning again.
Do you know what? Bailey, oh, God, drink that. You could give me a bottle, right? And, oh, man.
Let's be honest, he said he had 2 glasses of it. What he didn't tell you was they were 2-pint glasses of it. That's what wasn't being told.
Mate. You got it. Anyone out there that Baileys with a block of ice, right? And then you just keep pouring it, and all your worries drift away. Trust me. You go to the toilet more as well. You piss a lot, trust me, when you have lots of Baileys. It goes through you well, it's a drink, isn't it? So it's bound to go through you, but yeah.
Say another. Sam, probably not going to happen, I'm afraid.
No.
We'll say no more
I
than
will be doing a breakdance.
I have thought about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeffrey's going to do them. So,
Yeah, I'll be gravitating towards breakdance a lot more coming up, especially the start of next year. Something that, it's just one of those tools that has interested me since it came out. I've been watching it grow and evolve. I did the same thing with bricks. I just don't jump into a new tool. I see how it grows and evolves, and I just, it's also a time thing. Do I have the time? But, yeah, I look forward to getting into it more.
That's a great place for you to do a course because I don't think there is anyone doing breakdance courses. I mean, if you go and Google breakdance course, you're going to find dance classes, but not proper.
You're going to find Australia. You're going to find the Australia kangaroo.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh yes.
What the hell is in that mushroom tea? That's all I'm going to ask.
Oh man.
Not any funny kind of mushrooms, he says lyingly. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm lost now. The train has derailed. That's all I'm saying. Hey, look, regardless of what anybody else's thoughts are, I do think that we could do with, more people spending time creating this kind of content. And I think this is the thing that is important. I mean, you guys are all still working with clients, maybe not as much as you did. I mean, hang on, Jeffrey, are you still working with clients, or did you stop doing that now recently?
Oh, I've stopped this year. Just to focus on the community and content and what we're doing, the Lightbox Academy.
So this is the thing. It's go on.
Yeah, so I've reduced it immensely this year. I now wait for clients to contact me or a potential client, and then I prefer to go for premium clients only. I've now a little bit like Paul in a way, where I've gone more towards the content creation side of things. But I am actively trying to offload legacy clients by making them hate me. So they want to go else. No, I kind of give them notice and go, look, you can stay with me until March next year, and then you can piss off.
But you don't host them though, do you? You don't host their sites.
No. I did, but you know what? It for me, it took away the fun of designing and creating things and making things jump, dance, and all that. It's just like, oh, my emails haven't come through, and you go back through and check all the MX records and all of that. It takes away the fun of web design.
Please. God, not emails. Emails is the worst thing to ever do for clients. Never, ever do that. So if you are ever thinking of hosting your clients, if you're working with the clients, if you're new to this, I would probably say it does make more sense for a lot of people to offload that, to let them just deal with it themselves, set it up for them and then let them go so they can pay the monthly or annual fee. But whichever way you kind of go about doing it, I would say just do not offer email as part of it.
The worst client I ever had, and I'm glad they disappeared, was every time they changed their phone, they would contact me to tell them how to add in the ports and all the outgoing server, the incoming server to their phone, and I kept sending them the details, and it was like I literally have to do a video call with them because they were like miles away, and go, right, now show me your phone, and they're like, they try, which I realized was a mistake because I asked them to show me their phone even though they were on their phone at the time, so it was like a bit of a paradox.
But have you noticed
at one point they stood in a mirror, they literally stood in front of a mirror so I could see what was on the screen.
Well, let's hope they were dressed. But I think one of the worst things is, I don't know if you've had the same thing when you did work with clients like that, is like you'd send them only the POP3 details and tell them to have it set up so after 7 days it deletes from the server, and 90% of the time they come back with a problem and it would always be set up as a what's it called? What do you call it?
IMAP.
That's the word I'm looking for. IMAP. So everything is, you go back there like 6 months later and their storage is rammed and it's like 50,000 emails. And it's like, oh, Jesus. And that trying to get them to redo it and not lose the emails and all those kinds of things, it's like, oh, it's just an absolute pain in the butt. Not fun. So yeah, don't ever do it. If you get the option to work with clients, host them on their own accounts and do not set up emails. Tell them to either go through Gmail or Office 365 or something like that you don't have to deal with tech support on it, because that is an absolute ball ache for sure. Yeah, as J-Man says, DMARC, SPF, especially with the whole sort of things that's come in recently with handling all that, with deliverability rates and all that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, what a pain in the butt that was. Sam, okay.
I feel your stress, man.
Oh, yeah.
Brought back some memories, huh?
Yeah. PTSD it is.
Right.
Or PTSD.
Can I just say for Sam? Can I just say for Sam's question there? Get asked this a lot. You get loads of comment. I get lots of comments with Elemental or Bricks or this or that. I feel like take out the page builders, right? Now turn the question into what's the best car I need to drive? What's the best car I can get? And the answer will be, what do you need and what do you want to get out of it? So I don't like to get into these arguments over is Bricks better than Breakdance, better than Elemental, better than Quickly, better than this, better than that. For me, it's like, go and do your own research and homework, right? It's like, what's the best mobile phone? What's the best car? What's the best house? What's the best jacket? What's the best drink? Pepsi Max, by the way, so that's a definitive answer. But go and do your own comparison and research and decide what do you want to get out of it. And if you've got the time to play, go and play. Because what I hate is if any one of us ever was to say use Bricks over Breakdance, it gets held against us in a way. And then you have people jump in that don't like your answer, or 2 years down the line someone will come back on you and go, well, you said this. And I don't want to feel like we influence people to make financial decisions for their career or what they decide to use. So, good question, Sam, but I would say just go and look at the features and make a decision for yourself over what's important to you.
And we're never going to tell you to make financial decisions, but buy Imran and Jeffrey's courses.
No, buy my course, not Jeffrey's course.
Imran's course is $400. All right, mine is $20. So I
And
got
you get-
100
and you get
lessons,
twice.
got 5.
You just buy one, get one free of the same course.
I'm actually going to I'm going to create a code snippet that is going to automatically pick up your URL when it's released and always set it at 0.9 at 90% of whatever is your price. If you put up in 0, I'm stuffed. Okay.
Oh man, this
I wonder
could
if
be
that's
fun,
possible.
dude.
I'm gonna have a look now.
I mean, we had a small window there where we had a sensible answer, and now it's just gone back to the same.
Oh man,
But to go back to the page builder versus page builder, this is something that's been on my mind a lot lately, especially with the whole thing that's gone on in WordPress recently. I was like everybody else, upset, like emotions were all over the place. But then I got out of it, and something that's just been bothering me in general has been the division. There's so much division, and we're divided over tools. We're divided over things, and I don't like seeing that. Like, for me, that just goes against what I want to do. I want to unify web designers. Like, we're here to have fun, create, and I want to help out to, build super awesome websites and make really good money at doing it. And yeah, dude, the whole thing with this versus that. Another thing too is like I get the tribalism and I get the loyalty, but this is another thing that came to me the other day is that I'm no longer loyal. Like, I'm not loyal to any brand, and I will never be loyal to another brand. Apple killed that for me. All right, Apple killed that. Something that Apple did a few years ago made me realize I'm loyal to brands that aren't loyal to me. So my loyalty goes to web designers, to us, to the people here in the chat, Okay, rant over.
No, you make a good point there, because I actually care more about when someone shares this interesting bit of CSS code, and it's something you could apply to like anywhere, where you get to do something a little bit different. Or someone did, I think it was on Wix, and there was a video they did, and I happened to just watch it, and they did this really funky thing, and it got me thinking, how could I do that in WordPress? What would I have to do? Do I need a bit of code, whatever? So I like to see things that stimulate and get us thinking, and I feel like regardless of the tool, I know some people say that some are more bloated, or this or that, or the back-end code. For me, it's about what do you do with what you have available to you, because that is what pushes us to evolve, kind of thing. We don't want to just still be doing like the basic designs that we were doing like 10-15 years ago. We want to break out into we want to evolve, basically.
And I think that's where, as Jeffrey said earlier on, and as Marcus alluded to as well, I think this is where the excitement outside of WordPress, that's why that is more exciting at this point in time, as in the innovation is more exciting, because they are pushing for the wow factor. Does it always make for a better end result? No. Is it a better user experience? Not always. But sometimes, like I was watching one earlier on today, I think it was, and it was like, your typical sort of app, sort of hero section where you've got like a top little bit of the application itself, there's some words there, and there's like a plasma line running down, there's melting all over the top of the screenshot, and the plasma was all animated and stuff. And I was looking at it thinking, that is cool. Do you know what I mean? It's like, does that make it a more usable experience? No. But what it does do is it catches your attention and it gives you a visual sort of like, wow, that's cool, without stupid animations all over the shop that add nothing and just make it really annoying. But I want to kind of go back a little bit to a slightly different take on what you were saying about brand loyalty and stuff like that. And let's not do the brand loyalty, but buying into brands and things like that. One of the things that I find more important a lot of the time are the people behind the brand. If because I'm sure you're all the same as me, you probably had dealings with developers and companies. Like, for example, I know, Mark, you're a big fan of Crockleblock, and everybody I've dealt with in Crockleblock have been really nice people to deal with, and really solid people with a great passion for what they do. And my conversations like with Thomas from Bricks and different developers in smaller plugins and things. And that's where I get my excitement, my passion kind of comes from for a lot of these products. Is not specifically for the product, because it can be very similar to another product. But when you talk to the people that are behind it and the passion that they've got and how open they are to feedback and input, and just, want to absorb everything that people are talking about to be better at what they do. That's kind of where I feel I want to put your weight behind, but you kind of like, you want to create content around it, you want to talk about it when you do live streams, things. I think there's more to that side of things, and maybe we're in a little bit of a sort of privileged position where we do have access to people because they want to come to us and talk to us because of what we do. But that's what I feel my passion is for those products and the services is more the people than the actual product itself, and probably why I'm more behind bricks, for example, than I am maybe behind some other products. Not because I think one is infinitely better than the other. Like Imran says, everyone has benefits, everyone has weaknesses. They do one thing better than another, whatever it is. But when you kind of know the people behind it and the passion they've got and what they're trying to achieve, it's the same as your creators that you watch. It's why we are on this live stream and maybe some other people are not, because we talk to each other. We have very similar goals and aims in what we're trying to achieve and what we want to do and convey. And I think that's where that's more important in a lot of ways for me anyway.
This is why I love conversations.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I've not gone neck deep into breakdance. Considered it, but I always feel like, the way they do things behind the scenes with their marketing, it really rubs me up the wrong way. I just wish they would because I've noticed, before all the adverts were about slating Elementor. Now they've moved on to slating Divi. It's quite hysterical now because Divi's done a bit of a reinvention. It's not all there yet. But it's almost like they're so worried about Divi. Now we're going to do all our Facebook posts about slating Divi, and it just comes across as tragic a little bit. And I'm sure at some point, when Etch is fully out there, however it looks, they'll then move on to slating Etch or something. So, yeah.
Yeah, negative marketing. I'm not the biggest fan of negative marketing. I think it's a bit slimy. Whoever's doing it. Except
the one I will be starting the moment when Jeffrey's course comes out. In fact, I'm going to make sure all of the artwork is slime, like orientated as well. Just looks like goo's been thrown at the image.
Oh man, you're going to make me go to my black hat days, man. Pull out some of my tricks. Oh. You heard of hot links?
Yes.
This is why I don't make courses right here, right now. It's cutthroat. This is getting nasty.
Man, the fight is real.
Paul, but this is why I love having conversations like this, because it could go and have all these thoughts in my mind all the time. You could read the comments and you could see what other people are commenting about. But then when you have conversations like this, it just opens up perspectives and it gives a different outlook on things. And this is why I love doing this, man. So I hope we keep doing this. And also anybody could go to a WordCamp and meet the developers for a lot of these tools. I went to one before I had a channel. I was just an average Joe, walked in and hanging out with the guys from WP Umbrella when they just started, Aurelio, and it was two other guys. And they're just really cool guys. And things change when you meet the people and when you actually talk to them and you see that, hey, these are just guys like us, or creators like us, developers like us. And they're just normal people. And when you see that, it changes your outlook instead of oh, that one had a vulnerability. Oh, this one did that. It's just wait, these are some cool people, and it does change things.
Yeah, because I've had a couple of sort of calls with different development teams and things. And I know, Imran, you've spoken to some of the same people that I have, and I think probably Jeffrey and Mark will be surprised if you have. And it's so nice to see, because an email doesn't do it justice. A conversation via some kind of chat thing doesn't do it justice. But when you can see and you can hear the passion in their voices and in their faces, and they really just want to absorb what you may have to sort of say about it and your feedback on it and your thoughts, there's something that kind of gets you a little bit hyped about what they're doing. It is much better, say, face-to-face if you can do that. But I still think there's a lot of mileage where we do have these kind of conversations. It's kind of frustrating sometimes where you sort of see the Facebook groups and people are sort of like slating someone else's product or slating someone else in the sort of thing, or the developer comes in and says something and then they just like start attacking. And it's like, these are still people. It's all well and good being sat behind a keyboard and just ranting because you're peed off at something, or it doesn't work the way you want, or you think your product is the best thing since sliced bread because you paid money for it. But these are still people, and maybe we're all guilty of it to some extent, where we've talked about different things, like the whole debacle with what's happening right now. But I'd also like to think that none of us here have actually just gone out there and just slammed into someone personally. If you've got a point of view of like you disagree with what they're saying or doing, that's one thing. But when it kind of goes and takes that turn for the nasty, that's kind of where it's a little bit sad to see that happens. And X is rife with it. And it's hard. Do you know what I mean? Because maybe because we're a little bit more sensitive to it, because we've been on the receiving end of that, on YouTube videos or different bits and pieces. Maybe it kind of changes your perspective a little bit to what it's like. But at the end of the day, these are still human beings, regardless of what they're doing or what they're saying. And it's something we do still need to have a little bit of respect for them, whether we agree or disagree. And we can publicly disagree, but I think you can do it politely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Totally agree on that.
I'm a sensitive guy, so I can't do it. I mean, already what Imran said tonight, like, I don't know, man. I might have to take a break. Let's
take as long as you want, okay? If it means your course does not come out for 5 years, take the time.
The next mushroom tea is going to be filled with tears. It's going to be tears and mushrooms.
It was chaga, everybody, just in case if you're wondering. Organically grown and all that good stuff. But no, on the real, I'm way too sensitive for all that. That's the reason why I've eased off of social media. I'm hardly on Facebook anymore. It's something that I was wondering too, like, is it just in WordPress right now?
No.
And so I started exploring out, and it isn't. It's human nature. It's the way humans are right now. We're just in that place, and I have to protect myself, my heart, my mind, so that way I could do better for others. Because if I'm in a bad place and I'm taking on too much of that, I could turn into a monster, and I could go ahead and put that energy back out there. So, I've been keeping a little eye on what's going on in social media, but I've pretty much jumped down. That's the reason why I'm like full on in Circle right now with the Lightbox community in Circle, because we have that protection in there. We don't have that bad stuff creeping in.
There's a lot to be said for that. To answer Weasel's comment, because it's kind of like related to what we just said there, the community's there. If you just go over to wptutsacademy.com and you can sign up. There's no fee to sign up. You can just join in, become part of the community. There's paid versions of it and options available, but the main part of it is the Facebook replacement, shall we say. That's completely free. And while you're at it, also join up to Lightbox Academy, because, Jeffrey's course will be on there quite soon. Just putting that out there. Okay, folks. Well, I think I don't want to sort of take up too much and try to keep this to the 1 hour. So if you've enjoyed today's live stream, we've had over 100 people in and 37 thumbs up. So come on, hit that thumbs up button to let everybody know, including YouTube, that you like this kind of content. But as Jeffrey's already said, this is still something we want to do every single month, because I think as much fun as it is, I also think it's therapeutic for us lot to be able to sort of have these kind of conversations, and maybe let you into the kind of strange, weird and twisted world that we inhabit on a daily basis. But so that's what I say. If you want to take a look at the wptutsacademy.com, you can do. Mark, if people want to find out more about you and what you're doing with Wiki, how can they find out more about what you're doing?
Right before that, I just published all of our. We only have 2 episodes, so now we're on all of the different podcast networks. So check us out. Like we're on Spotify. Was it Apple Podcasts, Google? I found a service and it pretty much puts them on all of them. So you can find us there if you want to listen to us while we're driving or whatever. But you could just check out my YouTube channel, Wiki Design. It's also wikidesign.com. That's our regular website, and that's really about it. Yeah. We're kind of just taking on the client work, just slowly. We're not doing courses. No courses from me anytime soon. Not after I see what happens in this course community here.
And Jeffrey, before the tears start seeping back into the chaga tea, how can people find out more about yourself and what you're doing? And obviously sign up and get early access to your Elementor course that is going to be 450,000 hours long for $20.
Master Elementor, Master Web Design, and everything in between. No, it's you can find me at lightboxacademy.com. It's LYTBOX. And if you put that in YouTube or any search engine, you're going to find all the stuff. Also, check out our community as well. We have a free one, but we also have a pro community that we have weekly calls, weekly fireside chats, workshops, and it's for those who are serious about their web design business.
But don't go to his to come to mine. Other than that, that's fine. Imran.
Hey, look, if you can't wait for Jeffrey to get his stuff done in 2 days' time, all right? No, look, if you jump over to Web Squadron YouTube channel, it's already scheduled in for Thursday, launching the new Elementor course, exclusive pricing. It's probably got the weirdest pricing discount system that I've ever considered or thought of last night. And I've even created a code snippet to help it work the way I want it to work. I'm not joking here. But it all will be revealed on Thursday. But jokes aside, there's nothing wrong with us, different people creating courses for the same page builder, for WordPress, whatever. We all have our own way of doing things the way we do it. And I would probably say, go and get my course, go and get Jeffrey's course, go and contact Mark if you want to get a hefty discount on Photoshop, learn about bricks from Paul, so join in the love, spread the love with WordPress, right? And I'm telling you, mate, if anyone out there has not had some Baileys, you got to enjoy it. You got to love it. It's so good.
And if anybody's wondering how to get the best discount on Imran's course, it's Lightbox 99. You get 99% off. That's Lightbox 99.
Do you know what? I haven't set the coupon code description yet. Shall I call it Lightbox?
I think you should, just for the sheer shits and giggles.
Now I'll have to do the Web Squadron on my man. I'm gonna put that on my parody.
Do you know what? I like this. I like this cross contamination. I like it.
We know you cross pollination, just contamination.
No, it's contamination. We're infecting each other at the moment.
Jesus.
Between Bailey's and mushroom tea, right? Okay.
Anyway, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining in again today. Thanks for doing this. We'll see you again about a month's time. And don't forget, as Mark said, you can find these podcasts now up on all good podcasting services and WP Creators, I believe. Am I right? Should be WP Creators. Yeah. So go and check that out. And this latest episode will be up in a few days' time. So be sure to check that out if you want to catch up and you want to listen to it while driving in your car, because watching it in your car means you'll probably crash, which is not advisable. Okay? So podcast, go and check it out. Anyway, thanks guys for joining in today. Thanks everybody in the chat for your questions, comments, and feedback. We will see you all in a month's time, and I'm sure everybody here will probably be on a live stream at some point in the next couple of weeks. So take care, have a fantastic day all, and we will see you all super soon.
Take care. Bye.
See you.